And we're live.
Hello, my lovelies.
But we are live from my office because we had a bit of a problem tonight, didn't we, Jane? We had to, one of our grandchildren had a bit of a problem. So it was a lot of rushing around. So we finally managed to go live. Well, tonight we're going to be talking about our experiences, as it were, and about what it's like being a professional medium. We've got Boo here with us tonight as well, haven't we?
He's a professional cat.
And a professional nuisance, he is. So we'll be saying hello to everybody, but we're going to talk about basically all the kind of things that go into being a professional medium, you know, to go in full time with mediumship, what it's like, the problems we had, a little bit perhaps about the media and what happened with that, and our work in spiritualism, and then getting onto the stage and all those type of things. So we're going to talk kind of generally. We don't quite know where we're going with it, do we? But we'll go for all the areas around that. Right. So I'm going to put, now we've also got a screen on that side because we had to cobble this together at the last minute. So if you're seeing Jane look to the side of the screen, don't worry, she's not ignoring you. She's looking at the comments that come up.
Oh, so I'm not looking at an entity.
Yeah. So a few hellos, Jane.
All right. Agility Bits. Hello from Cornwall. Hello, Agility Bits.
Hi there. And
Louise, good evening from Scotland. Good evening, Louise.
So I'll be looking down and Jane will be looking sideways, and we're getting up cross-eyed at this rate. Yeah.
Anita, good evening to all from Sebastian.
Sebastian, where's that? Spain, isn't it? Sebastian, I think.
Maybe, who knows?
Possibly. Now, guess who's coming up next, Jane? Because I can see.
Well,
India, Sheila.
Oh,
another one of our regulars.
Sheila.
Namaste, Sheila. Nice cuppa for yourself and words of wisdom. Yes, we do have our nice little cuppas here. It's Mugs tonight, I'm afraid. It's Mugs this evening.
It is for him. He's a bit common. I'm a bit more refined.
And Boo. Come on, Boo. Come and say hello. He's wandering around our feet and then clearing off again. But right. I was thinking of making some
Amelia G. Hiya, from me to you, both Craig, Jane and Boo. I'm in London, not from London, like most.
Good vibes, good vibes.
Yeah, man.
Hey, man. Yeah. Grooviness to you all. And we got Annette from Florida saying hello.
Hello, Annette.
And we've got Ben
from
Plymouth.
Plymouth.
We were down towards Plymouth. We went down to Cornwall, didn't we? Which I've got a photograph to show you of Cornwall in a minute on a new book cover. And we've got Nana Rosebud from Tropical Totten. Great
it feels
one.
Like a tropical.
Yeah, it
so
actually
hot.
it's pretty hot. We're hot, actually. I've got this jacket on. I'm hot already, actually. I shouldn't be wearing it. Now, anyone from Germany? Yes.
Wow.
How did I know that?
You must be psychic.
Patricia Schultz again. We see you a lot, Patricia. Thanks for joining us again. Gotta keep looking here in case there's anything rude.
There's Cheryl, Craig Hampton Parker with Jane, listening from Massachusetts.
Massachusetts.
Yes, okay, Craig.
Okay, I thought I pressed the wrong one then. Okay. And we got hi from California from Anna. Nice to see you again. And Jamie Baby Cardo, nice to see you again. Gave you a reading recently, I remember, and very pleased to connect with you. It was lovely. And Doris Plummer's saying hello.
Well, hello, Doris.
And how about
Kit?
Kit.
Hello from the windy city of Chicago. Oh, you've got wind there, have you? I suppose it's autumn.
Yeah. Yeah. So one's put a question up already, which we won't answer yet, but it will come up in the context of what we're doing, because we'll talk about this as well. Because Maureen there's asking about.
Right, Maureen is saying, interesting, no difference between mediumship training and psychic training.
And that's quite important, actually. And we can bring that into the conversation when we have a chat in a minute about what we did when we go professional. Because a lot of people don't know the difference between a psychic and a medium. So we'll just let a few last hellos while you join us, because that way you can.
Ava, good evening, Jane and Craig. Good evening, Ava.
Yeah. Lots of hellos.
Franco, hello from East London. Glass of Aussie Shiraz, everyone. Not tonight, we've got tea.
Yeah, we're stuck with the tea tonight, I'm afraid. We got Matt again, I see.
Matt, good evening from Torquay. What's the most difficult thing about being a professional medium?
And that's another one we're going to cover tonight, we can talk about all that in a moment. We'll just a couple more hellos, just so, because people are just joining us, and we've got 5 minutes in. So yes, I think it's about time we started to talk about
more, Craig.
a couple more. Okay, let's see. Johannesburg.
Hello, Craig and Jane from Johannesburg, South Africa. Yes, my friend Colleen comes from there.
Yeah, well, we've got a few friends in South Africa. Well, your mum was down there for a while,
Well, she
wasn't
lived there, didn't she?
Yeah. Ah, hi, Craig and Jane. This is an interesting one. Indigo, you've got to be a little bit psychic, because I'm going to tell you about this. I'll tell them right at the top of the show, actually. I've been catching up on your sessions. I heard the whisperings at the Roche Rock, Cornwall. Aha. Well, talking of the Roche Rock, Cornwall.
Did you hear it as well, Boo?
Yeah, here comes Boo. You can't see him. We need another camera on Boo, don't we? I could probably use this iPad and focus on it. But yeah, so we'll have a quick chat about don't you touch that, Boo, will you? A quick chat about some of the things. Now, Roche Rock, actually, it's funny you should say that, because it just happens.
But you've got a book on it.
To have the picture of Roche Rock on my book, Psychic Encounters.
Yes.
But the good news is actually, well, it might be bad news, you don't know, but the good news is you can download this for free, only for a couple of days. So those of you, the patrons have already heard about this, but it goes live tonight. If you go on Amazon, you can get a Kindle version of it for free on Amazon. No strings attached, no hidden things with it. We're just giving it away for free with tonight's talk. And of course, if you love it, if you enjoy it,
I should also mention about the fake profile too.
Yeah, if you love it, if you enjoy it, do please put a nice rating on Amazon, because that's fantastic if you can do that. But you'll find in the description below on YouTube, I should be able to find it on Facebook too, but go to the YouTube channel, definitely a link to my website, where there's a link to your appropriate place. Like you can get American, you can download it, or English site, and you can any of the Amazon sites actually. So the Psychic Encounters, and it's about how we became fresh professional mediums, really, isn't it? It's our early work. It's not a new book. It's one that I published some time ago. It's been under different guises. I mean, it originally was published as a Psychic Casebook with that dreadful, horrible cover, you know. Don't you think? Well, it says nothing.
Spooky.
Publishers. So anyway, we've revamped it, and it's there for you tonight. So I'll mention it again later in the show, so that people joining again later can also go and download it. So professionalism.
Mystical, Craig.
Yeah.
Very good.
Well, that's Roche Rock, actually. It's Roche Rock. That's why I
and the bad news, the good news is, rather, you didn't fall off of it.
Yeah.
And you went up there.
Yeah, you should have seen the videos of me climbing up, actually, up that ladder with Willow. I think we put a video up, didn't we, about it? Oh, blimey, scary. But Willow had a fall today, and that's why we were a bit concerned for her. So anyway, becoming a professional medium. So that first question, what's the difference between a psychic and a medium? Perhaps we should address that first, because if you're going to be a professional medium, what is it?
Yeah, well, clairvoyance is clear seeing. You can say psychic, pick up things on the solar plexus here, or sensing things. Being a medium is actually being in communication with the afterlife, that you're actually seeing things, actually hearing, and spirit giving evidential proof, not holding up angel cards for communicating with spirit. Would you agree, Craig?
Yeah, well, I would define it like this. Psychic is all about, if you want to know about your life, that's kind of psychic.
House moves.
If you want to know house moves, romances, if you want to know about the future even, I mean, that's all psychic type of gifts. And there's different types of psychic gifts. So that's all. It comes often, if the person's with you, you might pick it up telepathically. Others might pick it up from the astral plane, as it were. But basically, it's limited to your life here on Earth, isn't it? Yes. And guidance, really, counseling. No. Mediumship, and lots of people can be, they say that 1 in 100 people can become psychic. And looking at the internet, I reckon 1 in 3 is a psychic, the number that are out there. But about 1 in 100 people could become psychic. But mediumship is much rarer. And true mediumship doesn't involve tarot cards or anything like that. You don't hold cards up and say, oh, you've got a woman here that's in the spirit world. None of that. Mediumship comes from a connection inwardly normally, but in different forms there are, but I won't go into all the different forms of mediumship. But basically the type of mediumship we're talking about tonight is when Jane and myself would sense, see, hear, all the different senses involved, a spirit person round us, and be able to give, now this is the important bit, give proof, give what we call evidence, evidential proof of life after death. So that's where we start. We have to, first of all, becoming a professional medium. Obviously, you've got to be able to do that. And how do people do that?
Well, you've got to dedicate yourself to service, and you haven't got like another job in the daytime. You're working full time and you're preparing yourself for your client. And I don't know how Craig works.
No, I'm going to say, how does a person get onto the ladder, as it were? Because the first step, normally people would sit in a circle. Now, there was a great medium called Gordon Higginson, wasn't there? He used to say...
Well, there's many great mediums.
But he was one of the great modern mediums, and also had a strong influence on us because we met him and things like that, and he gave us some advice. But he would always say, mediums are born, they're not made.
It's true.
You know, mediums, you actually are born with this gift.
Well, I was born like it. I didn't sit in a circle, Craig.
That's right. But I was born with it. But most people, once they're born with it, you've got to then train it. So you can have, a lot of people get mediumship, but it's often random and in bits and pieces, isn't it? And it's all scattered and it's not really focused. So a medium starts off by training in what you call a circle. This is usually within spiritualism, isn't it? So me and Jane initially developed our mediumship through spiritualism.
Well, I was born like it, Craig.
Yeah, but your first demonstrations, well, I started off as what you call a platform medium. So I started off by working with audiences.
Different for me. I trained to be a nurse, and I used to see the spirit leave people's bodies, and I used to give readings in the nurse's home and in the nurse's staff room. And I didn't particularly want it. I just wanted to be a nurse non-stop.
Yeah, and this happens, doesn't it? It's like mediumship, not only are you born with it, but you're almost pushed down the path. You know, I didn't really want to be a medium. Did you want to be a medium? Did you set up and say, I want to be a medium?
No,
it was something that was pushed on you, I felt.
That's right. Almost. And I think you've had to go through your journey in life with sort of suffering and pain to have compassion and love to reach out and help others, because nothing's worse than losing a loved one. People never get over it in a way, but it's a wonderful thing that from the higher realms, from the spirit world, that there's people like ourselves, mediums and other mediums, that actually can bring them forward and proof. Yeah,
when you start to do it, you see, you start learning, you start finding you've got the gift. Now, you can learn it in a circle, you can develop it in a circle, you can't learn it in a circle, you can develop what gift you've got, your latent potential in a circle, and then you might then start to practice. Now, you might be practicing one-to-one with people, or you might, in spiritualism, which is like a spiritualist church, it's an organization, it's in England, it's in Australia, and it's in other places in the world, in America as well. Spiritualists will, in a spiritualist church, for example, I would stand up, it's like a little mini theatre, really, although you have all the other bits. The most important bit is just like you'd see in a theatre where the medium stands up and says, I'd like to come to the lady over there, you know, and I want to give you a message, and you've got to give the details. So your mediumship is trained really through years and years and years and years of experience.
You need to sit in a circle at least 7 years.
Yeah, most people, a lot of people, I think, to get it trained, really, you need 7 years in a circle. I had 3 years in a circle, but 7 years most. And then I would say 15 years on the spiritualist platform. Then you've honed your mediumship. And then I think if you've done that, so 21 years, so it's a long time, isn't it? Then I think you're ready to start. You would gradually, over that period, perhaps start going professional. For example, you might start giving mediumistic readings to people. You might say do a demonstration of mediumship, and people will start coming to see you for readings. I mean, that's how it started in the old days, didn't it? Yeah. Let's take a few questions, shall we?
Yeah, it's not an easy life being a medium, because you're never going to be wealthy or rich from it if you're doing it properly. For me, I couldn't see no more than 2 people a day, because it takes a lot of energy, and you're absolutely drained. So if people say, oh, I've seen hundreds of people this week doing sit-ins, you couldn't possibly
Yeah.
Because you've got to have a resting period.
Well, this is what
you?
Nick's just asked you, and this is what it's bang on, because it's funny you were saying that, and I saw this one pop up, and I thought this is a good question actually. And I'd imagine being a psychic medium is very taxing on the body.
Yes.
Especially mentally, having to continually see future current events and absorbing all of your clients' negative problems. And indeed, it certainly is, because isn't it? It's, you see, like Jane said, you can't do one reading after another after another. I mean, I can't manage many readings a week.
You see,
not really.
If you're demonstrating in a theatre, or you're demonstrating in the spiritualist movement in a church, then that's easy, because the vibration is people are open, got an open mind, and then you're connecting. Because for me, I see like a blue light go over the person's head, and I know I'm meant to communicate. But if you've got somebody coming to you, then you've got to allow to meditation, at least for half an hour, tune into the spirit world, and then ask for the loved ones to come through. Because people coming to you, they don't know what to expect. They might think they're coming to some spooky lady in a haunted house or something. It takes a lot of courage for people to go to a medium.
You've got to prepare yourself.
Yes.
Excuse me. And you've also got to prepare the person too, really, because sometimes people are coming straight into it. It's particularly difficult when you're doing it on the phone for someone, because you haven't got that sort of much lead-in time to relax them and give them a cup of tea and ease them into what's happening. So you've got to get all the conditions kind of right, so that the energy's just right, really. Yeah. And then, even if you're feeling rotten, you know, like they say, the show must go on. I mean, even if you're feeling rotten, you tend to have to still do the readings, don't you? If you, you know, with you.
And you have to be very strict when you're a medium, because some people, you need to close yourself down and then have non-attachment afterwards, because you get people that will phone you up afterwards asking questions, and you can't really remember what you said in that conversation when spirits connected, can you, Craig?
Well, that's true, because once the reading's over, you see, it's exactly like Jane's saying, that once the reading's over, actually 99% of it wipes from my brain. I can't remember what I've just said. Even they said, "Oh, that was fantastic what you said about my granddad." I said, sorry, I can't even remember it. Even that is like become absent-minded with it. And it's like, so if someone comes back later and says, "Oh, can you tell me more?" next day, it's gone, because I'm completely unconnected. Did you find the same?
Well, I try to have non-attachment with things, because remember, we are very much in this world, so you can't be tuned into the spirit world 24/7, because your brain couldn't take it. And the spirit world, I'm a great believer, they make the appointments for our clients, not the other way around.
Yeah, yes, I think it does tend to work like that, particularly with mediumship more than anything.
You must also rest your body in between. I cannot eat before a reading, because otherwise I come very tired. I can eat afterwards.
Yeah, and actually another thing that happens, your body gets so tired, you have to have kind of sugar, something sugary afterwards, because it just whacks out all your sugar, doesn't it? It's like you sort of zap after. And sometimes if you're feeling really, really ill and you go out to do the reading, it's funny how the spirit world will sort of almost give you a sort of a zap. Jane's playing with the cat down there. A zap. And you're suddenly, your energy's up, you're full of energy, you're as if nothing's happened. You do the reading, afterwards it's finished, boom.
Yeah.
And it hits you like a cricket bat, doesn't it?
If you overdo it, and suddenly you're getting a tightening band round by the head here, and you feel drained, because sometimes if you've given a bit too much, you look in the mirror afterwards and it's looked like Dracula's sucked all the life force out of you.
I feel like all the time, actually, that it does take a very, very strong toll on your health. And that's why I think anybody going to do mediumship a lot, you know, I mean, mediums that are listening to this would probably know this, or much of this already that we're talking about, because you'll be trained this in circle. But if you're doing it a lot, you do have to look after your health. Many go vegetarian. Many will do, I do things like yoga and pranayama and things. And you've also got to, you can't drink, I don't think, as a medium. No. You need to cut out things like smoking if you can, because, I mean, Doris Stokes used to smoke like a trooper, and she died young, you know. But I think, was she?
Well, she had a brain tumour, Craig.
Yeah. not associated with smoking, but all of the conditions. We have to keep our pranic energy, our spiritual life force, at peak all the time for it, don't you?
Yeah, you need a clear mind, because if you're drinking, it will influence, and that. Drink water and a good early night, that helps. Of course, it helps me with lots of cup of teas, you see.
Yeah, with sugar. Yeah. So I'm just going to have a quick look here to see what this. I spotted a few nice ones, but it's a shame. I keep missing them as we go, because obviously it takes me a little while.
Oh, Niccardo. I
That's the
imagine
one,
being a psychic medium.
that's the one we just been
Oh, well, I
answering.
can read it. Very taxing on your voice, especially mentally, having to see future events around all of your clients' negative. But most of the people that come to me are very intelligent people. I have doctors, psychiatrists, all different walks of life. It doesn't matter. What matters really is giving proof to that person, and that, because we're quite normal. I'd say every day, do everyday things and that. And it's always nice to connect with what I call real people.
Yeah. See, Nana's put an interesting question up there. Where does choices come in? As there must be more than one outcome, mediums only speak of one pathway that might not come true. So that's just going back to the idea of what's the difference between a medium and a psychic, you see, Nana. That's psychic work we're talking about there. But we're talking now about mediumistic, which is communication with the spirit world. And in spiritualism, they have 7 principles, all a bit old-fashioned. But one of them, spiritualists, we hate me for saying that, is personal responsibility.
Yes.
And that's, I think, is a very important thing as one of the principles of mediumship, that we encourage people to have personal responsibility. And one of the precepts is that there is personal responsibility. We don't have to say, you know, I take full responsibility what happened in my life. And by doing that, we also find that implies with it, doesn't it, free will.
Yes.
That we therefore have free will to change the future and change the path. So when it comes to things like the future, because sometimes the spirit world might tell us things about the future, but the main reason the spirits speak to us is in order to give proof and evidence of life after death, to help people to overcome grief, to know that life goes on, and to understand the deeper philosophy in things. And I could say that but I think there is a future laid out, as I do with my predictions on a psychic level, but we also have the free will to move over that map, as it were, and make choices as we go along. So the future is not completely set.
And I always say to the spirit world, if you lot don't come through, I'm never working for you again. And I jolly well mean it, Craig.
Yeah.
When I say it.
Yeah.
Do you want to mention, Craig, that when we're in the theatre November?
Oh, good point. Yeah, actually, we're also going to be in, if you're near Southampton, now Southampton's the south of England, you can get to it from London, and this event is certainly available to get to from London. You might get a bit of a late night back, but we're in Southampton at a club called the Concord Club in November. Now, have a look at the website. Psychics.co.uk. I haven't got time to look for the logo to put up, but psychics.co.uk, also in the description below on the comments, above the comments in the description, and you'll be able to go there and book tickets, because they've just gone live.
They're selling quickly.
And they go out quickly usually. So if you want to get to see us, and you can meet us afterwards, because we spend a little bit of time afterwards just chatting. Most important,
the money from that goes back into the foundation.
Yeah, we don't take any money from it, nor does Domenico, who does a lot of work there too, doing all the cameras and all the sound and and introducing us and doing everything up behind the scenes with us. It all goes back into the foundation, so we don't take that and put the money in our pocket. It goes to help
those less fortunate.
To help our mission, I suppose you could call it, though that sounds a bit religious, doesn't it?
Well, in a way it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're all put on earth for a reason, and kindness, compassion and love. It's a beautiful world, but it's the people in it at the moment, isn't it, Craig?
Yeah, so you're welcome to put your questions up, anything about mediumship and so forth. I see there's quite a few here. I'll hit a few new ones. Another thought, that also, going back to that psychic and medium, what's the difference? You see, often I think with our work, people always come and they want to know the psychic questions, you know, what will happen with my job, what will happen with my relationship, and all those type of questions, which are all well and good. But every time as a medium we're doing work for that, and answering people's those sort of questions about relationships and things, you're actually missing. It's like, you know, we're offering you caviar and you want fish and chips, because basically the mediumship is so much more sacred, and it changes lives so much more than the psychic reading. And sometimes when I'm doing a psychic reading, I think to myself, this session could be used to help someone change their life. So when you book me or Jane, please try to book us for mediumistic. We try to give priority to mediumistic readings. In fact, I'm going to change the way it's done on the site.
There could be somebody that's really in need, perhaps lost a child, needs mediumship, and then you've got someone that's booked up and says, I'd like a psychic reading. Will my boyfriend come back to me? And then, you know, that's for them to work out. But mediumship is really connecting somebody that's suffered.
That sort of thing's better in an email reading. That's what they're designed for. But the face-to-face readings and the phone readings are going to be, from now on, all mediumistic, about proof of life after death. I'm just trying to find a good question put here, Jane. Right. Let's have a look at some of the new comments at the bottom. Oh, there's an interesting one. What's your thoughts on channeling?
I don't like that word.
It used to be a treat to see mediums channel. Now it seems to be a growing trend.
Well, I don't know where this word channeling comes from, because it's like somebody's channeling the dolphins. I've seen that, or someone's channeling, could be Yogi Bear and that. I like to call it mediumship, not channeling. I don't like the word channeling, Craig. I
don't like the word channeling either. It's an Americanism. You rotten Americans choosing all these silly terms. It's mediumship. It was always mediumship in America too, actually.
Sounds like a TV station.
People like to add labels to all these things. You know, oh, I'm
an avatar,
a Tibetan sage, so and so, whatever it is, avatar sort of things, and all sorts of daft phrases, and it makes it sound different, as if it's new. You know, I connect with the astral plane, I connect with this, but it's all the same. It's psychic and mediumship, basically. And mediumship, there's some of the forms of mediumship. There's also trance, in which the spirit will talk through the medium. Now, with all of it, there's a difference between what's true mediumship and what's a load of psychobabble, because a lot of people will spout off all sorts of things, eyes in the top of their head, talking away, you know, and it's all just coming from their unconscious mind. You have to always ask, what is the evidence? What is the proof? What can we verify from this? Because if you can't verify it, if you can't prove it, if they're not giving you information, you can say, yeah, only my granddad knew that, or that's something my nan would used to say, or that's something that's a fact that nobody knew, that item was put in the coffin, or whatever. Those are verifiable proofs. That's how you get your proof. So if they start going off talking to dolphins or doing all the other daft stuff you see on the net, reject it, because if it's against your reason, if it's against your common sense, you're just dealing with a crackpot. They might be well-meaning, they might believe themselves. That's the danger, isn't it? They believe it.
I saw a medium. It's meant to be a physical medium once. He opened his mouth and he was convinced that all these flowers were coming out of his mouth. Do you remember, Craig?
What was that?
This medium, he thought he was a physical medium, linking out a spirit, and he said that all these flowers came out of there was nothing whatsoever.
Oh, it was a load of absolute, complete mental illness, if you ask me, but a lot of that.
Another question.
I'm just looking, there's people are talking, that's different. Okay, that's quite an interesting question, actually. It's a bit more technical. We're talking more about mediumship. Anything you want to know about the process of becoming a medium, how we got on the theatre, you can always ask things as well. But this person's asked, Fleming's asking you, how do you see the difference between subjective and objective in mental mediumship? Well, objective mediumship, say subjective medium. Subjective mediumship is where you kind of look within, you kind of know what the spirit person's saying. You might hear it as a voice, you might sense it, or in many respects, I think it's just, isn't it, just like you know it, you know, you just know it, and it's coming through your own mental faculties. They are connecting their vibration with my vibration, and the two resonate together, and it's like, I just know, and I just say it. Objective mediumship, some mediums will say, oh, there's a spirit stood next to you over there. So instead of hearing it inside themselves, the way they're made up is that they would prefer to see it outside of themselves. So it's still happening subjectively in their mind, but for them, they see it outside of themselves. And I think that's just a matter of difference of the way they perceive things. And you could also talk about objective mediumship also being something where the spirit will build up in what's called physical mediumship, in which physically the spirit appears in the room and everybody in the room can see that spirit. Everybody sat on the seance table will see the spirit stood in the room. That's physical mediumship. But 99.9% of what goes on today is mental mediumship. And be very cautious, very cautious of the alleged physical mediumship
mediums that do transfiguration.
And transfiguration, that has happened. That's happened in Circle to me before, where sort of a light comes over your face and you see the spirit person on your face.
Ectoplasm that comes over.
And often when people come to see Jane or they come to see me, don't they? They say, "Oh, I've just seen my grandmother in your face," you know, because they project their face over our face. Don't they? Either physically.
Have they seen Elvis Presley in yours? Or Dolly Parton in mine?
Yeah. No. So that's another form of mediumship. So that's kind of what I would. There's a whole massive things we could say about subjective and objective mediumship there. Who was one of the best mediums of our time, and why do you validate that person?
Well, I'd say one of the best mediums of our time. There's several good mediums of our time. Gordon Higginson, Doris Stokes, Helen Duncan.
Well, she wasn't quite of our time, but she was kind of the modern times, I suppose.
Yes.
But in our lifetime, yeah, Gordon Higginson was brilliant.
And Doris Stokes.
I like Stephen O'Brien, who's still alive and still working in Wales and should get much more recognition because he's brilliant.
Nice young man.
Yeah, and I think they were the most two powerful mediums in our life.
Doris Stokes was good. So was Doris Collins good as well, another medium. Doris Stokes was like everybody's granny, and she brought it all out in the open, if you like, and people suddenly became interested, because a lot of people wouldn't go to a spiritualist church, would they? Because they thought it was a knock club, Craig, didn't they?
Yeah. Ivy Northridge was very good. She taught Peter Close, who taught me, and also Bill Landis, who taught me. They were both good mediums. Peter went to America. I think he's died now. Peter has, I think.
Well, Doris Stokes, in my view, was very good.
Doris Stokes had the strongest influence on us, really.
Doris Stokes was quite. She had a lot of jealousy surrounding her. Her mediumship was very, very good, and a very caring lady. Very caring lady. And another remarkable lady, you wouldn't know her, Craig, but she was about 90, Marietta Southsea.
Oh, you spoke about her, didn't you?
She used to fall asleep and used to wait for her to suddenly come to, and then she'd bring the spirit people through, and it was absolutely spot on. And she dedicated her life to spiritualism. Such a lovely lady, and I think she just died giving a reading as well.
Did she really?
She had a house of antiques, and of course she used to put all these youngsters under her arms, and they stole from her all her antiques.
We met a lot of mediums in our time, actually, particularly early on. That one that you used to have to step over so much cat poo to get into the reading room. Do you remember that? I won't mention her name. My God.
She's over on the other side.
Yeah, what a haze. But she was quite a good medium and very supportive of us.
Another medium, she used to talk to you, and her top teeth used to fall down.
Yeah,
and she had bright red lipstick like Betty Boo.
Yeah.
And she used to wheel the lighthouse in.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, also Kenny Everett's wife, I quite liked her as a medium too. I got to know her for a short while through Bill Landis, and she used to do some very good trance work, and again transfiguration, where it would come across her face. And also Coral Polge.
Yes, I knew Coral very well.
She was a brilliant medium because she used to do psychic art. Yeah. And again, it's not daft psychic art. It was actual sketches of the person.
Absolutely.
And it would be, and they show she'd give them the picture, and they bring a photograph, and it would be exactly the same with little details like moles in the certain positions.
And there's other psychic artists as well. You don't want people drawing people from Atlantis or fairies or gnomes.
Well, that's the problem. The fantasy gets so involved.
Or unicorns.
That's why, you see, if you're a professional medium, you've got to be evidential. It's got to have proof. The problem is the public, you lot, aren't educated enough in what's good and what's bad. You take, because a person says they're psychic, you don't know the difference, and you think, oh yes, listen to that person, but listen hard, and is the proof and evidence in what they do, you know? And that's very important, particularly when you're having a reading with someone. But you know,
I mean, years ago, you didn't have mediums go on the theatre. Years ago, there'd been a back room and doing circles.
When I started, I had to keep it secret because I didn't want my customers to know about it, and I didn't want, you know, I was a single parent. I didn't want anyone to know really.
Now it's become a bit like the X Factor.
Everybody's, every Tom, Dick and Harry, Uncle Tom Cobley and all psychics, unfortunately. But mediumship is still just as rare as it was. You know, it's there, it's out there. There's a lot of good mediums practicing. You know, I'm not, you know, and there's a lot of really good stuff out there. There's a lot of cheats as well, which makes you very cross. But you've got to just look for the evidence and the proof.
I think you can't fool the public, though.
And the problem is proof's got to be careful nowadays too, because of the Facebook and internet and looking up people, you know. So they've got to be able to tell you things that no one else could possibly know. And sometimes good to give a fake name so they can't tell who you are, you know. Things they can't look you up. Anyway, we've got another one up on. I put up a little while back. We've been missing it. Why do you think these spiritual gifts are sometimes given to those who are hardly spiritual, i.e., not the greatest person and full of ego?
Oh, you're always going to have.
I've never understood that juxtaposition.
You're always going to have people. You're always going to have men with egos
and women with egos.
Yeah, true. Yeah, true.
But the thing is, though, I do know what you mean, because mediumship. But the spirit world want to get the message across, and it's very rare to find a channel at all. And it's not, the channel is not necessarily dependent because that person's got a high spiritual vibration. They may have a certain flaw in their genetics that just allows them to be a medium. Crowley said a few things about this too, about the ways that you can stimulate it, and it can be stimulated through quite negative things, particularly negative sexual practices, actually. But sometimes the energy doesn't just break through even someone that's not a particularly nice person and might be quite egotistical, like Hitler had mediums on. He used to consult, for example. So it can come through as like that, but if it can come through a really spiritual person, a person that genuinely is spiritual, and 99, most mediums are genuine, most mediums are sincere. Some are a little bit doolally and off with the fairies, but often even they give good evidence because their heart's in the right place.
The spirit will use,
then you get really good mediumship. The spirit world
will use any vehicle, Craig,
yeah,
and then, you know, they're trying to get a message through, and then you get some mediums. They go a bit silly with it, don't they?
Harry Edwards, who was a brilliant healer, said that it's a bit like a violin. You know, the spirit world want to get through, and they can play through a broken violin, and you'll get a message through a broken violin. And you can listen to the music through a broken violin, but it don't sound good. But you give the spirit world a Stradivarius, i.e. if the medium is like a Stradivarius, then beautiful music comes forth from the same spirit communicator.
Nice,
so it's a nice image, isn't it?
Lovely.
Because that means that, you know, and that's why mediums need to be of the highest caliber spiritually.
Yes.
That you really do have to have high spiritual values. Yes. I feel you don't want to be off drinking and smoking and grabbing the money and running like that some of them do.
No smoking, no drinking. And a pure life, really.
It's looking down here, looking at you and saying, what?
He wants his dreamies.
He wants his dreamies, don't you, Boo?
I've got his son.
He's been out chasing, he's been over the badgers again, I think. He was out all night last night. Okay, that's an interesting question that Michelle's saying here.
Right.
Do you believe in objects that you bring into your home, for example, an antique that belonged to someone who has passed? Would spirits still have strong connections with that item?
Well, they would, because if that was, how shall we say, a bit like psychometry, isn't it, really? If somebody had a favourite, say, Chinese vase and that, and they put the vibration on it, then definitely they would have a connection with it, but not necessarily on a material level, would they?
Yeah, I think perhaps, yeah. I mean, in Circle, for example, if you were to develop as a medium, one of the things you're taught first is a gift for what we call psychometry. So you have an object that you hold. So everybody in the circle would bring along an object and put it in the bag, right? And nobody tell you what that object is, but the medium that's in charge of the circle would know which object's which. And then someone you have to put your hand in, pull out one of the objects and talk about who owned that object, right? So it's a good practice. And you talk about the object. It might have been someone on the circle. It might belong to them personally, or it might be their grandmothers or friends or something like that. And you give a little description of the person's character, personality, life. So the vibrations that have been left on the psychometry. So you can give quite a detailed character sort of thing from just a piece of psychometry like that. But it's not mediumship, because that is reading the past. It's reading the vibration on the object. So if you're doing mediumship, you would need to put that object down in order to do the connection. Say you had an object from the grandmother, you would have to put that object down so you're not picking up the vibration and start again, as it were, to connect with the spirit world. You don't mix the two. Really, you have to break the separation from the material object. You know, there's a big thing about mediums should not use physical items in order to make spirit communications. It's got to come through the actual mind itself. You don't use cards, you don't use Ouija boards, you don't even use psychometry, but they are good training gifts. So items, I suppose, going back to the question, I suppose those people, the spirit would hang around, perhaps, areas that they loved and things.
Especially if there's a ring and you pass it down to your daughter and grandchildren, and that. It's sentimental, isn't it?
I suppose in many ways it makes the connection. It's the key to get it open, as it were, but the actual mediumship has to follow on.
You know,
after
you might
that,
have a grandmother suddenly appears from the spirit side wearing her pearls, and then you say, I've got a grandmother here, do pearls mean anything to you? I get 3 layers of pearls, and then that recipient will say, yes, I've got my grandmother's pearls.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Precious DeVere is saying, I think people really want counselling with readings.
Some do.
You see, that is true.
Some do. That's right.
But
Precious.
the mediumship is so precious because it is so rare. And really, the mediumship, if a person is a medium, it's best really if that, because it's so rare and there's so many people in desperate need to know about the spirit world. If you're a medium, I personally feel it's so much better to be able to give the messages to the people that are in grief.
Yes, absolutely.
Or people who are spiritually seeking and really on a deep philosophical quest to understand the meaning and purpose of life, and to also get proof that life goes on. Because once you've got that proof, it can be absolutely life-changing, actually, because you have to look at the world in a new way if you know you're going to live again. Oh, just lost it. Sorry. They jump every now and again. How about photos, Nana's saying? What do you think about that, Jen? Should people
photos?
have
what
photos?
does she mean by that?
Well, supposing some mediums, you've mentioned, will ask people to put the photographs into a salad bowl and take the photograph out, or something, a fish, whatever. They bring a bowl and they put
No, I would call that cheating. If somebody put photos in a fish bowl and took it out and said, who's the lovely lady here, wants to link, and the hand goes up, she's using that photo to have a connection. She shouldn't be doing that.
Anybody can read a face. I mean, that's quite simple to read a face in a picture.
Give proof. And you don't keep talking about yourself when you're on the theatre neither. You've got to be there to work for the spirit world.
I think I like talking about myself. I talk about myself all the time.
When do you ever stop, even when you sleep? No, you're there actually service for the spirit realm and to connect and help people. I mean,
let's have a look at...
Wait a minute, Craig, don't interrupt a woman. I'm just talking. When you actually on the stage, and you might have a young mother might have lost a baby, and then had acceptance of that. When I'm talking about a child about 5 or 6, I'm amazed how these mothers are so strong. And then that child comes through and connects with a mother. That's a wonderful, wonderful thing to do.
I just want to sort of point out about con merchants. Now, here we have someone online now saying, please inbox me for a reading and a spell of any kind for your spiritual work with Wasco Monet, fake name, And then she's saying to Carolyn Hunter, inbox me for your reading and spell of any kind. Now, you see, those are the people that you must avoid. These are con merchants. These are like Nigerian sort of huts somewhere with people that will say they'll do it for free and then rope you in and scare the living daylights out of you, or else they're just simply there trying to get your bank account details. Now, if a real person was a real medium, some scumbag like Wasco, hi Wasco, I see you're online, some scumbag like Wasco is there out trying to do harm. So if you see someone like that, please report them, please block them from Facebook. And not just that one, you get occasional ones, because people see mediums like this and then they say, I'll give you a reading free, inbox me, private me. And basically you're dealing with extremely dangerous
What's that
people.
person's name?
Wasco Monet. So
well, Wasco, I'll give you a clip round the ear free if you like.
Well, I thought I'd put it up just so you're aware that in the background you've got all these scumbags like Wasco Scumbag Monet, who is there causing all sorts of harm. What a good example that person is. Probably nothing to do with male or female, probably some sort of scumbag sort of hacker somewhere abroad, probably. You know, scumbag. So send them all a horrible thought because they have no idea with their spells and all this horrible, frightening nonsense. So let's have a look and see if we can follow.
Hello,
Show them Boo. Come on, jump up, Boo. Give us a chat.
Getting heavy, my darling, aren't you?
And I can look to the new comments. And
Hey,
there's our Boo.
Say hi. Gorgeous, aren't you? You better get down there.
So, just there's one just following up from that last one. Do you believe in curses, or are things just bad luck? How can you stop bad luck? My thought is, with that type of thing, that
Don't attract it.
Don't attract it. Yeah, as long as you're full of light and love and happiness, none of those things can harm you whatsoever.
We're all going to go through life at times when things don't go our way, or you think, I must have been cursed in a previous incarnation. Just be happy and think of good things. Don't let negativity come into your life.
Yeah, that's right. You're always protected. And also with mediumship too, we'll always do mediumship in a spirit of love, connecting with the divine. You learn that again in circle when you're developing as a medium. And you'll learn that darkness can never penetrate light.
Someone just said hi to you, Boo. We'll have to make your YouTube channel, won't we, darling?
I was thinking of putting some Boo t-shirts up, actually. That'd be quite Boo. We'll get a psychic Boo fang.
Or we could have healing Boos and have a necklace. Wear Boo close to your heart. Boo.
Someone's also saying, can diseased pets make a connection with you?
Yes, they do, but obviously it would be a relative or a loved one that would bring that pet through to you. Because, I mean, though animals can communicate by barking, meowing, when they go over on the other side, you have somebody that will connect and bring that animal through to you. And sometimes it's been known that they can actually go past your legs.
Yeah.
What are you doing that
We
for?
want Boo merchandise, says Marilyn's plan.
Yeah. And who'd want to wear you, Craig, on a t-shirt?
Yeah.
Only Boo.
Yeah, well, he's got more fans than we have, Ted Jane, I tell you. And he just
He's got a girlfriend that waits for him outside on the doorstep.
Yeah. So, okay, just gonna remind everybody actually about the book, because now I'm not selling you anything today. I'm giving you something, because Jane and I, when we started off becoming mediums, I wrote a book about it early on and republished it. Well, it's been republished for a while, but we've got a nice new cover done by Domenico on the front there. And it's for free, and there's no hidden strings attached, no spells or anything like that. It's for free. You can get it on Amazon Kindle, and you can watch a Kindle on an ordinary browser. You don't have to have a Kindle. You can watch it on your normal device. And it's all about the early life of our work as spiritualists and our work when we first got started in TV and theatre, first theatre works, and lots of little stories in there about
house rescues.
Things like that, wasn't it? And the best chapter I thought was when we went to India, see Satya Sai Baba. So if you want to get a copy of it, which are, well, Amazon give you the option to let it be free for a while. Obviously, if you love it, do put a nice star rating, very much appreciated. Put a little review up, always appreciated, because if you genuinely like it, then others will see that star review rating, and obviously we benefit a bit from that. But anyway, it's there. You can go and read the last chapter, particularly about Sai Baba and all that, and you might enjoy the start too, particularly because when there's also Richard Parker's story in there too, with all the weird coincidences with Edgar Allan Poe and all that, which is another story altogether. So there's your advert, but you're getting it for free. So all I've got here, Jane, on these questions to put up, is everybody's so over the moon with Boo. They've forgotten about us.
Yeah, he's lovely, Boo, isn't he? He follows me everywhere. Yeah, even down the road, doesn't he?
Yeah. So people have been asking. That's quite interesting. Because people do feel this. Did you find the spirit world scary when you started out?
No, not at all. I found humans on Earth more scary, I think.
Because,
to be honest with you, we all learn lessons while we're here. And if you don't learn them and you go on the other side and you reincarnate and come back again, but no, not at all.
No, I don't think I did too, because you'll find that particularly when you're developing your mediumship in a circle setting, if it's a proper circle and a good circle, it's far from scary, actually. It's tremendously uplifting. The room itself will get a real energy and a real power to it that is hard to describe. It's what we're hoping to do with the spiritual center, to get that same energy built up there as we start doing more readings there, which is all going to be the next step. And we're going to have a little circle there as well, which is also going. Jane's probably going to do a little talk group there and things like that. All those things are going to build the energy.
One, Craig, a big one.
But you know what I mean.
Correction.
Chat group or whatever you want to do. I don't know what you've got in mind, but you know, we can build the energy. You find it in certain places, don't you? The energy builds and it becomes far from scary. In fact, why should we be scared of the spirit world? They're just all the people we love.
What's an old saying? It's the living should worry about.
It is indeed, yeah. Cool, that inboxer person still going on.
Well, we're just after people's bank details and that.
Yeah.
Nobody can curse you or do black magic on you. Nobody.
Yeah. So I've got to be cautious what I put up, because they're mentioning other mediums by name that they don't like there. Someone is saying, I don't want to put that out. So it's difficult. I can't find the question.
Go by your own personal experience with the medium, really. That's what you've got to do. Find out for yourself. You can't please everybody, can you, when you're a medium? But the thing is, you cannot fool the general public. If you're absolutely true and you're making a connection through spirit, only you would know that.
Yeah. Someone there's just said about, I read somewhere, never buy mirrors from antique sellers or garage sales. It said mirrors hold spirits.
Not in this house, it doesn't.
I mean,
Jane
loves the glittery stuff so much. We must have that. Perhaps they do. Perhaps
yes,
that's why. Perhaps it's nothing to do with mediumship.
Mirrors and everything.
No. That's an old superstition. And I think with mediumship and all the rest of it, you need to get rid of all those superstitious.
You know where that probably come from, Craig? When there used to be lightning and thunderstorm, they used to put all the mirrors all black.
Yeah, my nan used to put mirrors, cover up the mirrors all the time. She was terrified.
Hide the knives and forks, quick.
Hide the knives.
Yeah, quick, all the curtains.
That's an interesting question. Christina's saying here, what happened to you in your lives to push you along the pathway to become mediums? Were there specific events which changed your life path, or were there any turning points for you?
Well, I suppose the turning point for me was nursing and dealing with death and helping people.
Yeah, for me, I think it was no major turning point, because I was very interested right from early age.
You're born like it, so you know these things. You know you're different, but you don't know how different you are. You take it for granted that everybody can see auras, everybody has got clairsentience, and don't they?
Yeah,
do, really.
And I think though, you see, often the turning point is often tragedies and adversity that pushes a medium forward. And both Jane and I, we don't go on about it much, but we had some pretty bad times early in our lives, and throughout our lives, and those things I think push you forward. And I think all mediums get this. Any medium worth their salt, I've noticed, has usually been through the mill.
A bit of suffering's good, because then you've got empathy with other people that suffered.
I think the spirit will make you suffer. I think if anybody who wanted to be a medium saw what you'd have to go through in order to become a medium, you would probably be scared of the path, because they challenge everything you hold dear.
Yeah, you've got to be strong.
If you believe in truth, you'll be surrounded by liars. If you believe in loyalty, you'll be surrounded by cheats, and so on, and you'll get the whole lot probably. And and everything you hold dear will be challenged, even your health possibly.
Yeah.
And so there are always going to be sort of points along the line where you're going to be pushed and pushed
great
and pushed.
People, great avatars, sages and saints.
Yeah, and then
people.
Again, you also get.
They always have a good sense of humour, don't they?
Yeah,
people?
Like you say, that's the stick that I describe it. You're talking about the carrot too, because actually you get some really inspiring people that you meet, and you'll sometimes meet other people that have suffered really bad, and often they're the ones that never say anything. And yet you see they're a great soul, don't you? And ordinary people I'm talking about here now, not necessarily gurus and so forth. But you know what I mean? It's like you get inspired along sometimes by the suffering of people, because when you do mediumship, you've got to have very high. How can I say? You've got to really understand human. Nature a lot. That's right. It's not really psychology. You've got to understand what's going on in people's head and the effects that you're having.
Because when you think of it, death is a horrible thing. When you really think of it,
dreadful.
1 minute a person's here and suddenly they're taken, whatever reason, and you're just left with memories. Yeah,
and it happens so often, so suddenly. Or else, if it happens slowly, you see someone being gradually ground down and destroyed.
Awful.
Or you lose children, or someone dies of suicide.
Or even pets.
And pets, the whole lot. Yeah. Everything that you value in life is suddenly smashed to pieces.
You're just left with memories. But isn't it wonderful that they can communicate to you from the other side and show you what the other side's like, and they can tell you everything what you've been doing here on the earth plane? A wonderful thing.
Yeah, the power of what you say, can completely transform people's lives. They can pick the pieces up and live again, and they don't wave. The suffering doesn't go away, but I think hope comes back for people when they've had a really true message.
Especially when they've had a true message, and a loved one says, "I'm waiting for you, and we'll see one another again."
And you've also got to understand a kind of a little bit of a psychology of, I think they call it transference too, because people also, because you've given that wonderful message, they think that they can almost worship you and treat you godlike almost, because they think, you gave me such a beautiful message from my mum, all the love was there and everything like that. Now, we're only the conduit, we're only the channel for that message. But if you're not wise person, you might sort of bask in the ego of that and love it, and sort of in a way do a bit of damage if you can't be humble. So although we muck around and I say I'm the best medium in the world and all the rest of things like that might joke around, I think in your heart, as a medium, one of the things you've got to learn is to be extremely humble. Or if you're not, you will be humbled, because you'll see the very hardest things that any human being can go through.
Yeah, you're dealing sometimes with people that have been murdered or have been raped, all kinds of horrific things. So you have to have non-attachment. But when you're tuned into the spirit world, to the person, and they're actually showing you, you're trying to help that person in front of you. And nobody knows why these things happen, because even I sometimes think karmically, why did that happen to the most sweetest person on the earth? And that I saw a picture the other day that came up on Facebook, Craig, and it was a young girl, it reminded me of Willow, was taken in a concentration camp, and you could see tears in her eyes, an innocent, beautiful child, all her hair cut, shaved, been punched in the mouth, all bruises, tears in her eyes, are quite haunting. And the doctor, how could another human being do that? Injected her heart to kill her.
Oh yeah, all those terrible things.
Terrible.
I mean, I've given readings for people that were in Belsen. That was on a TV show in America. That's that one of those programs that I did over in America, the Dreams program. And it's But even out of all that horror, there were messages of hope.
Yeah.
You know, there were messages of hope that came through on that reading, because the producer was Jewish, and she her grandmother died in the concentration camps, and I remember the message came through for her, and it was I'm trying to remember most of it. Again, it was a message of hope, and I think no matter how awful this world gets, I think when you have the knowledge of the truth,
but how can another
you
human
can go through it,
do such cruel things to innocent children? How can a man do that? It's meant to be a doctor, to inject a little girl.
Yeah, I know you're talking about Mengele and people like that, but those sort of people would be reborn probably into perhaps even a lower form than human, or maybe into an awful life, because every soul ultimately has to grow to become a pure spirit, you know, even the worst of them. But it's hard to accept sometimes, isn't it? The terrible things. But as Charlie says, it's the power of love.
It is, absolutely.
That follows behind it all, actually. That's the key behind it all, you know. There are evil people. There are some very, very evil people in the world. But indeed, I think the light pierces the darkness, and the light ultimately illuminates.
There'll always be
everything.
light that will overtake darkness.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Well, we're coming to the end now.
Oh, that's
so
a shame.
I've
only just getting to know you all.
So thanks for all coming again, guys. But again, I'm just going to reaffirm two things. Don't forget, we're on the theatre at Southampton. You can go to the
Concord Club.
Or you can look it up, Concord Club Southampton, and find the tickets there, or our website, which is in the commentary in the comments.
And if you come along, we will do meet and greet afterwards.
Yeah.
And it's a lovely, lovely vibration there. The energy's right, and they loved it so much, because the owner said, "You two are really the real deal and genuine people. We'd love to have you back again."
It was fun, actually. We'd like to do more of it, actually. COVID stopped us doing these. And free book, no strings attached, no hidden messages, no spell casting like those silly people were there online early. You can find out all about the early part of our lives. It's free, but if you like, I'd love it if you could put a nice review on there. It's very much appreciated. It's in the description below, a little link to the website. Go on, take you to my website, go down to, you see this wonderful picture of me and Jane in front of the rock there. Go through to Amazon, and you look for the Psychic Encounters, and you'll be able to download it as a Kindle version, which you can read on your phone, or you can read on your iPad, or you can read on your Kindle reader. And yeah, hopefully you'll enjoy that.
And if you're very, very lucky, Craig might sign an autograph.
Well, I can't do them on Amazon, Jane, but if anybody comes to our shows, I don't mind doing it on our shows, of course. So we're going to say bye, everybody. As soon as I can find the sign-off moments at the end here.
Craig, remember patrons?
Oh, tell them about patrons, Jane, and what we're doing with that.
If you would like to help us, and it's our dream of having a spiritual centre and leave it behind to help mankind, so it continues on, the spirit, do become a patron on our site. I mean, it doesn't matter how much you give, even if it's $5 or £5, we're very grateful, and thank you so much. We do enjoy doing this and chatting to all of you on a Saturday now. And
that's it.
That is it. Yeah,
well, I'm going to press this final button. You might get a funny ending, you might not. And check out our website for more stuff. You can book psychic readings with us and find out about our public events, or watch our fantastic movie called Mystic Journey to India. It's a mind-boggling adventure that's now showing on Amazon Prime. And if you want to learn more, you can find out about my books and courses. Check out Messages from the Universe that reveals the ancient secrets of existence, or read my book called Psychic School to discover and enhance your own psychic skills. Or how about What to Do When You're Dead, my book about the afterlife and what it's like. All this plus lots more, lots of new articles and videos, all on my fascinating website.